This is the second sermon in the series about the letter of James. James either was the brother of Jesus or somebody who wrote in his name. In last week's sermon, we heard his advice to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to anger. In our passage today, James continues his admonitions against harmful talk. He does so in strong language, like, how great a forest is set ablaze by a small fire, and the tongue is a fire. It sets on fire the cycle of nature, and is itself set on fire by hell. The tongue is a fire. Words are powerful. And sometimes it seems that lies are more powerful than the truth. In a quote attributed to Mark Twain, it is said, "A lie can travel halfway round the world, while the truth is putting on its shoes." So even before our times of the rapid spread of fake news on social media, rumors, lies, and gossip traveled fast and wide and successfully destroyed reputations, livelihoods, and even lives. One of the most persistent false rumors in the European Middle Ages was that Jewish people were kidnapping and killing children to use their blood in the making of Passover bread. Whenever a child went missing, rumors like this could lead to savage pogroms in which hundreds and thousands of people were killed. In 17th century Salem, Massachusetts, 14 women and 6 men were killed for the false accusation of witchcraft. The genocide of 800,000 Tutsi in Rwanda in 1994 was propelled forward by rumors and propaganda spread through radio stations. And in this year alone, 2018, at least 9 innocent people have been killed in India because of rumors spread on the Facebook-owned messaging app WhatsApp, warning of child predators. Words destroy reputations, livelihoods, and even lives. That has always been true. But the technical means available to us today through the World Wide Web and social media have greatly multiplied the effectiveness of lies, rumors, and propaganda. And because misinformation through social media is so easy to do and so tremendously successful in influencing financial markets and elections, in spreading discord and enticing violence, a whole army of new professionals is sitting behind their screens and producing billions of false stories and earning billions of dollars for doing so, pretending to be other people than they are. Some of this activity is directed by governments or other interest groups, but some misinformation is planted for no other reason than that it makes money. I don't know if you heard of the small town of Veleš in Macedonia. A group of high schoolers and young adults in Veleš discovered that they could make big bucks by systematically spreading false news, especially on the American political market. They earn money from advertisers for every click their shared lies are getting. And they're getting many clicks. In 3 months, one of them made $16,000 in advertising revenue. The average monthly salary in Macedonia is $371. Who can blame those kids turned entrepreneurs for seizing this unethical but lucrative opportunity? Rather than focusing on them, I'd like to talk about the clickers. The Americans, that's you and me, who finance this booming new industry by clicking on and sharing posts like, "Trump hit supporter at rally," "Obama forbids national anthems at schools," "Clinton finances child porn ring," or Look out for predator in dark hoodie in your area. Why do we react to scandalous and unlikely posts like this with such interest and passion and the willingness to believe them? James suggests that it is lack of wisdom which makes people turn to rumors and lies instead of understanding and truth. James' passage about wisdom is what I would like to read with you today so that we might implant these words into our hearts together. So please turn to your Pew Bible's New Testament section, page 221. We will read James chapter 3, verses 13 to 18. New Testament, page 221, James chapter 3, 13 to 18. Who is wise and understanding among you? Show by your good life that your works are done with gentleness born of wisdom. But if you have bitter envy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not be boastful and false to the truth. Such wisdom does not come down from above, but is earthly, unspiritual, devilish. For where there is envy and selfish ambition, there will also be disorder and wickedness of every kind. But the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy and good fruits, without a trace of partiality or hypocrisy. And a harvest of righteousness is sown in peace for those who make peace. Bitter envy, selfish ambition, unwillingness to yield, partiality and hypocrisy. These are the characteristics which, according to James, lead to conflict and disputes, dishonesty and poisonous behavior. Social media are amazingly effective in confirming and enlarging these negative characteristics and behaviors. They are like echo chambers. The false information we are fed confirms our deepest suspicions. Yes, we have the right to be bitter and envious because such and such people are taking advantage of us. How could we ever reach out to those people if they do such horrible things? And before we know it, the emotional distance we put between us and the other places the other so far away that we cannot possibly engage with them anymore. We forget that God made all of us in God's image. We forget about Jesus' core commandment to love our neighbor. We forget about Jesus' challenging commandment to especially love our enemy. We let our fear and outrage separate us from people who are children of God just as we are. People who might very well be fed with scandalous stories which make them experience the same emotions of fear and outrage, this time directed against us. We are being played against each other. And the ones who hold the strings in their hands can be powerful nations and interest groups, or kids from Macedonia. I want to make sure that we, as we ponder James' words about tongues which are fires, that we remember our place in this picture. So maybe we don't spread fake news for money, but do we talk with spite about public figures? Do we maybe gossip about people we know? Do we listen to gossip and spite and believe it? James' words are straightforward. He suggests that it is not possible for a Christian to participate in talk which harms others. He writes, "From the same mouth come blessing and cursing. My brothers and sisters, this ought not be so. Does a spring pour forth from the same opening both fresh and brackish water? Can a fig tree, my brothers and sisters, yield olives, or grapevine figs? No more can salt water yield fresh." Now, James' vivid images are not supposed to make us feel bad about ourselves and the mistakes we might be making. They are meant to help us understand in all clarity that the practice of lying, gossiping, and spreading rumors cannot be reconciled with Jesus' great commandment to love our neighbors and our enemies. Words are actions. They have consequences. They have the power to destroy reputations, livelihoods, and even lives. They also have the power to spread love, to lift people up, and to bring peace. Words can do so much good. Let me give you just two of all the many examples. After the terrorist attacks on American soil on September 11, 2001, our nation was in shock, in mourning, full of anger and hurt. Some people sought to direct these feelings against the American Muslim population. In this difficult time, bloodbaths could very well have happened. But the words of President George W. Bush prevented that. In many speeches, like the one he gave to the joint session of Congress and the nation on September 20th, 2001, President Bush made clear that the Islamic faith is not responsible for terrorist attacks, but terrorists are who distort and abuse faith. He said things like, "The enemy of America is not our many Muslim friends." His words helped America to stay level-headed in this emotional time and to avoid violence among Americans. Or let's remember Lieutenant Bellegarde. On November 9th, 1938, a pogrom against the Jewish population was carried out in Germany by SA paramilitary forces and German civilians. Many police authorities stayed quiet during that night. Not so police officer Otto Bellegarde, who was on duty in the precinct of the new synagogue in Berlin. He declared that he would protect this building as was his duty and ordered the mob to disperse. And they did. You can find a plaque remembering Bellegarde on the wall of the synagogue still today. Just imagine all police officers would have spoken like Lieutenant Bellegarde that night. Just imagine world leaders would always call for friendship and peace like President Bush did in that time in the face of looming civil unrest. Words are actions, and they can make this world a worse place, but they can also make this world a better place. Let us follow James' advice and use our words wisely, lovingly, and to make peace. Amen.